Hi. So today we're going to talk about the headgear of the German army in the First World War. I'm wearing the Feldmütze, which was the service cap that would have been worn while not in combat. It has two buttons at the top here. They're called cockades. The first one designates the state that a soldier would have been from, so the black button right there, that's the Prussian cockade, and then the black, white, red up here refers to the German country. There's the Empire of Germany. And then I have the 23rd Infantry Regiment shoulder boards, and then I'm going to show you the two different helmets. So there's the Picklehelm, which is for earlier in the war in 1914 through, I think, 1916. They would have had the spiked helmet. The spike is not really there for like headbutting people or anything like that. It was more for the tradition of what the German military had been wearing in the late 1800s, but it also, I've heard that it can block saber blows if you're on horseback. I don't know, again, if that's really true, but there's all these theories as to why the spike was there to begin with, but it doesn't really provide much protection because it is canvas and leather. There's no real, like, metal components to this. A lot of soldiers would have removed the spike around, I think, 1916. But some versions you see of photos of the Picklehelm without the spike because it was more distracting. If an enemy sniper could have seen the spike poking through the trench, they would have easily gotten shot because it's a target on your back. But I've also heard that the spike made people look taller, more intimidating as you were charging towards the enemy. So, there's different theories on that. I'm not entirely sure what the more practical purpose of this is, other than just it looks quote-unquote cool. But let me show you the Stellhelm, which is what would have been issued in, I think, 1917, 1918. So the Stellhelm is what most people associate with the German army. In World War I, you can see the difference between a World War I and World War II. Stellhelm by the bolts on the sides here kind of look like antlers. The First World War, these bolts were used in the early versions of the Stellhelm as they were produced in, I believe, 1916 through 1918. This has definitely a lot more protection. It's metal. It's got great protection in the back of the head from shrapnel and any kind of oncoming dirt or debris. Most German soldiers generally had less major head injuries. They still were injured, but it wasn't to the extent of how, like, the French army and the British and the Americans wearing the Brodie helmet or the Adrian helmet that had less protection for the back of the head and the neck, whereas this is much bigger. It's got more plating around the sides here, and it's generally a better design for a helmet, and that's why even in the modern militaries, most countries have some variation of the Stellhelm. It's not the same exact shape, but it's based off of that design because it had the most effective usage for protection against head injuries and neck injuries. But if you like this content, feel free to subscribe and like the video if you want more content like this. Thank you for watching.